Have you ever walked into a room and felt a subtle chill, a quiet shift as conversations seem to dim? You offer an idea, and it's met with polite but uninterested nods like your words are whispers lost in the wind. You try to connect, but there's always a hidden wall, a quiet distance you can't quite cross. It's a profoundly frustrating, even painful feeling, like you're constantly on the outside, looking in, wondering if you're doing something wrong or if you're simply not interesting enough. For years, I felt this way. I'd try to be friendly, to contribute, to be an active part of any group, but so often I'd leave interactions feeling deflated, sensing that I hadn't truly connected. I saw others effortlessly draw people in, holding court with quiet magnetism, while I struggled to even sustain casual banter. I blamed myself, convinced I lacked charisma or was just too awkward for genuine connection. Yet, the more I observed, the more I realized there was a common, often unseen, thread among those who struggled to forge real bonds. It wasn't about being boring or inherently unlikable or even socially inept in the traditional sense. The true culprit was far more subtle, more insidious. This hidden reason isn't something you can easily spot in a single word or a loud gesture. It's not about what you say, but often how you say it, or even the underlying energy you bring before you utter a single word. It's a tiny unconscious signal that tells others, maintain your distance. Once you grasp this subtle dynamic and, crucially, learn how to shift it, your interactions will fundamentally transform. The unspoken rule: you unintentionally create emotional distance. At its heart, the primary, often subconscious, reason people tend to subtly pull away isn't born from malice or dislike. It stems from a primal human need for safety, not physical safety in the obvious sense, but a deeper, more pervasive sense of emotional and social safety. Our brains are incredibly adept at scanning our social environment for cues, signals that tell us whether an interaction will be comfortable, supportive, or potentially draining, judgmental, or threatening. If a conversation or the person leading it makes us feel subtly uncomfortable, judged, emotionally burdened, or drained, our ancient wiring kicks in. The natural unconscious instinct is to create distance, to put up a wall. This isn't personal rejection, it's a deeply ingrained self-preservation mechanism designed to protect our emotional well-being and energy. When someone feels this subtle lack of safety around you, they become guarded. Their genuine self retreats behind a polite facade. They may still smile, nod, and offer pleasant small talk, but their true engagement vanishes. Their mental and emotional energy shifts from connection to protection, often searching for an exit strategy, whether literal or conversational. This avoidance isn't a deliberate cold shoulder. It's a natural human response to feeling unsafe, even in the most subtle ways. Let's explore the three most common and impactful ways we inadvertently trigger this feeling of unsafety, pushing people away without you ever realizing it. 1. The emotional vortex. You unconsciously drain others' vitality. Imagine a conversation not just as an exchange of words, but as an exchange of energy. Every interaction, no matter how brief or casual, has an emotional current flowing through it. We are incredibly sensitive beings, picking up on the subtlest energetic cues from those around us. We register tension, anxiety, desperation, concealed anger, profound sadness, or even an overly zealous, inauthentic performance. If the emotional or social energy you consistently bring to interactions feels like an emotional vortex, constantly negative, overwhelmingly intense, or emotionally demanding, people will instinctively seek distance. This is a primal, unconscious move away from a source of discomfort or exhaustion, a way to protect their own vital emotional resources. This draining energy is a powerful, often silent, repellent. It manifests in various forms. Consider the individual whose every conversation, regardless of the initial topic, inevitably devolves into a lengthy litany of complaints, grievances, and personal woes. They radiate a pervasive cloud of negativity, transforming what could be a light interaction into a heavy burden. To be in their presence becomes emotionally depleting, a constant siphon on another's good spirits. You walk away feeling tired, even if you just stood still. This isn't about ignoring genuine struggles. It's about a relentless, unbalanced focus on negativity that offers no space for light or collaborative problem solving. People simply do not wish to feel perpetually responsible for managing another's emotional state, nor do they enjoy being consistently pulled into a downward emotional spiral. Another manifestation of this emotional vortex is an unmanaged level of anxiety or desperation. If your internal state is consistently characterized by high anxiety, nervousness, or a profound need for validation, it translates into palpable outward cues. Rapid-fire talking, constant fidgeting, extreme self-consciousness, or an insatiable hunger for compliments can make others feel uncomfortable or even anxious themselves. They might feel the subtle pressure to constantly reassure you, to fill awkward silences, or to fix your emotional state. This unsolicited emotional labor is exhausting. People subconsciously avoid those who consistently place this heavy emotional burden upon them. Similarly, a tendency towards aggression, overt or subtle defensiveness, or a predisposition for frequent argumentative stances will quickly signal to others that engaging with you risks conflict. The subconscious message is clear, like this interaction will cost me energy, peace, or comfort. People instinctively avoid situations that consistently leave them feeling tired, anxious, or burdened. If your presence acts as an emotional vortex, they will unconsciously seek to escape it, their avoidance becoming a desperate act of self-preservation. The deeper meaning: this isn't about being perfectly happy all the time. It's about emotional regulation and energy management. Your vibe tells people what kind of emotional experience they can expect from you. If that experience is consistently draining or uncomfortable, their brain's safety mechanism kicks in. They're not avoiding you as a person, but the feeling you generate. Learning to manage your own emotional state to bring a balanced and genuinely positive, or at least neutral presence, is like offering an oasis in a desert of emotional demands. It signals safety and makes others want to lean in, not pull away. 2. The invisible fence breaker. You disregard personal boundaries. Beyond the overt exchange of words, human interaction is governed by a delicate, unspoken code of conduct centered on boundaries. These are the invisible yet crucial lines that define our comfort zones across various dimensions of life. This includes our personal physical space, our available time, our emotional capacity for deep conversations, and the topics we are willing to discuss. When you consistently fail to perceive or actively respect these invisible fences, you generate a profound sense of unease and even violation in others. This is a direct affront to their sense of personal autonomy and safety. The violation of these unspoken rules can manifest in numerous subtle yet impactful ways. It might involve oversharing deeply personal or intimate information with someone you've just met, crossing an unspoken line and creating an immediate sense of discomfort and undue pressure on the listener. The recipient might feel burdened by information they weren't ready for or unsure how to appropriately respond. Similarly, asking overly intrusive or personal questions about sensitive topics before sufficient rapport has been established can make the other person feel interrogated rather than genuinely engaged. They feel their privacy invaded, their personal space breached. Beyond conversational content, a disregard for temporal and physical boundaries is equally detrimental. Ignoring clear social cues like someone looking at their watch, subtly turning their body away, or giving brief, closed-off answers, which clearly signal their desire to end a conversation, demonstrates a profound lack of respect for their time and personal autonomy. You might prolong a conversation well past its natural end, making them feel trapped. Physical boundary violations, such as standing too close in casual conversation or touching someone without clear permission, can also be deeply unsettling, triggering a primal sense of discomfort and the urge to retreat. Furthermore, consistently being unreliable, frequently late for appointments, canceling at the last minute without sufficient reason, or failing to follow through on promises, signals a fundamental disrespect for another person's time and effort. This makes them feel undervalued and leads them to eventually avoid relying on or interacting with you, as your unreliability makes them feel unsafe in committing their own time or energy. The deeper meaning: boundaries are about respect for autonomy and safety. When you consistently disregard someone's boundaries, you're communicating, often unconsciously, that their comfort, their time, and their emotional limits don't matter as much as your own desires. This erodes trust and makes them feel vulnerable and unprotected in your presence. People aren't avoiding you. They're avoiding the feeling of being controlled, disrespected, or taken advantage of. Mastering boundary awareness is about recognizing that every person carries an invisible sphere of personal space and limits, and respecting that sphere is the bedrock of inviting them into genuine connection. It signals that you are a safe person, one who values their autonomy as much as your own. 3. The unreliable compass. Your unpredictable and inconsistent self. Human beings are wired to seek pattern and predictability. From the earliest days of our existence, anticipating outcomes has been crucial for survival. In social interactions, we feel safest and most comfortable when we have a reasonable expectation of how others will behave, communicate, and respond. If your conduct is highly inconsistent, erratic, or generally unpredictable, acting like an unreliable compass whose needle constantly swings without a clear direction. It cultivates a pervasive sense of unease and makes people profoundly wary of engaging deeply. They cannot anchor their understanding of you, leading to a constant state of mild apprehension and distrust. This unpredictability can manifest in various behavioral patterns that create deep discomfort. It might involve dramatic mood swings, being overtly friendly, charming, and engaging one day, only to be cold, distant, or withdrawn the next, with no apparent cause or explanation. This Jekyll and Hyde routine leaves people confused, exhausted, and cautious, constantly guessing which version of you they will encounter. They spend mental energy trying to decipher your shifts, which is draining and frustrating. Similarly, unreliable communication habits, where you're exceptionally responsive and communicative for a period, only to then disappear without explanation or fail to respond to messages, can make others feel disregarded and of low priority. This inconsistent engagement erodes their trust in your availability and commitment. Furthermore, constantly shifting opinions or beliefs, appearing to agree vehemently with something one day and then completely contradicting it the next, can make you seem untrustworthy, lacking in conviction, or even manipulative. People struggle to understand your true stance or where you genuinely stand on issues, which hinders their ability to relate to you or rely on your word. Moreover, passive-aggressive communication, where underlying resentments, frustrations, or desires are expressed indirectly through subtle hints, sarcasm, or non-committal answers, rather than directly, creates profound confusion and festering resentment. People are left guessing your true intentions or feelings, leading to uncertainty and a breakdown in clear communication. When people cannot anticipate your reactions, rely on your word, or understand your true emotional state, they find it incredibly difficult to relax and invest in a deeper connection. They naturally choose instead to keep interactions superficial to protect themselves from potential emotional whiplash, disappointment, or confusion. Their avoidance becomes a powerful defense mechanism against the constant anxiety your inconsistency can cause. The deeper meaning. This isn't about being rigid, it's about building trust through reliability. People need to know that you are a stable presence, someone whose reactions and intentions are generally predictable. Unpredictability creates a constant state of low-level threat, as others can't anticipate your next move. By cultivating consistency in your emotional responses, your follow-through, and your communication style, you become a safe harbor in their social world. You signal that you are a reliable, trustworthy individual, making them feel safe to engage deeply and consistently. The transformative shift, cultivating safety and connection. Understanding these subtle yet powerful reasons people might distance themselves isn't an exercise in self-blame or harsh self-criticism. Instead, it is a profound act of self-awareness and empowerment. Once you identify these often unconscious patterns in your own communication and presence, you gain the unique ability to actively work on shifting them. The overarching guiding principle here is to consistently make people feel emotionally safe, genuinely respected, and deeply valued in your presence. When you manage to cultivate this powerful feeling, others will naturally, almost instinctively, be drawn to you, open up their own guards, and engage with you on a much deeper, more authentic level. This transformative shift is not about becoming a people pleaser or sacrificing your authentic self for the sake of popularity. On the contrary, it is about aligning your external actions with your innate desire for genuine human connection. It's about understanding the subtle yet powerful language of human psychology and applying that understanding to build sturdy, beautiful bridges instead of erecting isolating walls. The power to fundamentally change how people react to you lies firmly within your grasp. By focusing on these often overlooked aspects of communication and personal presence, by becoming an emotional architect who builds comfort, mastering boundary guardianship by respecting invisible lines, and cultivating authentic predictability to be a reliable compass, you can unlock a new level of connection in your life. You will gracefully move from the frustrating experience of wondering why people avoid you to becoming someone they naturally seek out, drawn by the warmth, safety, and authenticity you embody. And that truly is the secret to not just surviving, but thriving in all your relationships, personal and professional alike.